Hunter Biden gets a sweetheart deal. Good morning, Boston. My friends, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's just no other way to say it. I mean, I was reading yesterday, and one of these Republicans in Congress says, America is starting to look like a banana republic. And I'm like, starting to look like a banana republic? We have now, have we become a third world style banana republic? And let me tell you what Hunter Biden's plea deal, and it's a sweetheart plea deal, really means. That in the United States of America, like in any other banana republic, it's a hell of a lot better to be the president's son than to be his opponent. If you're his opponent, if you're the leading political opponent of the regime and the current president in power, a la Donald Trump, you are looking at 100 years in jail. 100 years behind bars for documents. For documents. By the way, documents that presidential records, to be more specific, that under Article 2 of the Constitution and under the Presidential Records Act and under precedent established by a liberal judge, Judge Amy Jackson Berman, regarding the Bill Clinton secret audio classified tapes that he stuffed in his sock drawer, he had every right to have, keep, and retain with him. Okay? But let that go. Trump, 100 years behind bars. And that's for documents. But if you're the son of El Presidente, if you're Hunter the degenerate Biden, and they've got you 6 ways to Sunday on tax evasion, tax fraud, gun charges, you get the proverbial slap on the wrist. Nothing. It's incredible. So the story broke, in fact, while we were on the air yesterday. Sandy and I were debating, should we even just mention it or wait till the next day? We said, you know what? Lines are full. Everybody's talking about what we were talking about yesterday. So let's not break the thematic flow of the show. I couldn't believe it when the news broke. But then when I found the details, it gets even worse. So after a 5-year federal investigation, by the way, you want to see what a joke the DOJ has become? What a joke the FBI has become? A 5-year investigation, and this is all you have to show for it? Bill Barr himself, not that I'm a fan of a porterhouse steak, but Bill Barr himself said, when I was sworn in as Attorney General in 2019, we could have gotten these charges then. That was 4 years ago. What the hell have they been doing for 4 years? You get 2 lousy misdemeanors on quote-unquote willful failure to pay your taxes? Are you freaking kidding me? And then a pretrial diversion? So on the gun charges, which means in plain English, if he stays clean and sober, i.e. drug-free for 2 years, and never owns a firearm again for the rest of his life, they're going to drop the gun charges. So, in plain English, he skates. Hunter Biden skates. He will not spend, forget a day in jail. He won't spend an hour, a minute, a second in jail. That if this was you or me or anyone else, you'd be looking at minimum 5 years to 10 years in prison. Minimum. I mean, this is beyond dispute. So let's take the tax charges first, okay? So on the tax charges, I want all of you to realize this. He did not pay income. He's now admitted to this. There's no disputing this now. He did not pay income on $3 million. $3 million worth of foreign income in 2017 and 2018. So he paid no tax on $3 million worth of foreign income. And nothing? No jail time? And by the way, nobody asks, how did you get $3 million? Who the hell would want to give you $3 million? By your own admission, you were, when he was retained in all of these boards, when his father was vice president, and then they built up this massive criminal empire, by his own admission, I'm going by his autobiography, he was, quote, doing cocaine or smoking crack every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes. And someone is just going to offer you millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars? Why? Because you're a sexy guy? Because you're a nice guy? So, you don't even track down the sources of the income. How did he get the illicit money? It's like a drug dealer or a drug kingpin. Well, he didn't pay $3 million on his taxes. Yeah. How did he get the $3 million? Is this legitimate money or is this dirty money? How did he make, what's the source of his money? Nothing. They won't look into that. They will not even look into that. So, but let that go. So, he gets, think of this. He gets nothing for tax fraud and tax evasion on $3 million worth of income. Okay? Now, if this was anyone else, and you've got tax prosecutor after tax prosecutor after tax prosecutor, they're saying minimum you're looking at 5 to 10 years in jail. This guy, they pled him down to a misdemeanor. Here. I'm slapping my hand. I'm slapping my wrist. That's okay. Bad Hunter. Bad Hunter. Now don't go do any more crack, okay? No more, Hunter. Then, the gun charges. To me, the way the media is spinning this, I know they're propaganda. I know they're fake news. I know they lie nonstop. I get it. But even by their standards, really, even by their pathetic standards, it's not just that he lied on a federal background check form, that he claimed he never used drugs and was not using drugs when he admits he was using drugs and had been using drugs. So he lied. But it's not just that he lied on a form. He illegally, ipso facto, he illegally possessed and purchased a firearm. He didn't just illegally possess and purchase a firearm. He then, when he feared he was going to get in trouble, or when he was stoned out of his mind, we don't know yet the actual reason, he dumped an illegal gun in a garbage can 30 feet within a school. 30 feet within a school. Now, I want to ask to all of you, say, living in Dorchester, or living in Mattapan, or living in Chelsea, I want to ask you, especially those of you in the minority community, you tell me, when you have an illegal gun possession, and you dump this gun off at a garbage can within 30 to 50 feet of a school, tell me, you get a slap on the wrist? You get a pre-trial diversion? Okay, you know what? Just don't do any more drugs, and you'll never own a firearm again, and you're good. We dropped the charges. Tell me, do they drop the charges? Or do they send your ass to prison for a minimum of 5 years? Because I can show you rapper after rapper after rapper, and poor minority after poor minority after poor minority, that when they're caught with an illegal firearm, and then they illegally dispose of that firearm, especially when it's near children or a school, they get the book thrown at them. And it's not even a hypothetical. Ask Jack Jones, the player for the New England Patriots. Ask him. Look, ask that poor black man. Ask him. Now, the case is slightly different He went, boarded a plane with 2 loaded guns. He's facing 30 years in jail. They're saying, well, it's unlawful possession of a firearm. It was a loaded firearm. 30 years in prison. 30 years in prison. That's what that poor black man is facing. Hunter Biden, nothing. Nothing. This is the equivalent, as Jonathan Turley put it, of giving the getaway driver in a bank robbery a ticket. A speeding ticket. That's it. And then claiming, oh, we have equal justice in America. We have equal treatment under the law. Look, the president's son had to plead guilty. Trump has been vindicated again. Because just several weeks ago, he predicted this very thing. That to cover their rear end, to justify their persecution of him, they would go after Hunter on something nickel and dime. This is no justice. Hunter walks away free. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Hunter Biden, yep, he will, his lawyer came out, Chris Clark, and said Hunter now will suffer the consequences of his decisions. What consequences? Forget not going to jail. He's not, apparently it looks like he's not even going to pay a fine. No community service. Nothing. Nothing. So what consequences? This is incredible. Now, I'm going to get into this later in the show. What believe it or not, the pleading to 2 misdemeanors, which should have been 2 felonies, and then they're going to basically drop the charges on the gun violations. That's just the tip of the iceberg. What they are really doing now is they're sweeping the whole Hunter Biden corruption scandal, the Hunter family business, the Biden family business right under the rug. Because now this cuts off any investigation into Burisma, into the Biden family, all of the other corruption, the pay to play, the tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars of unaccounted money that has flowed to the Biden family through shell companies. So all of the influence peddling, all of the pay to play, all of the bribery, all of the corruption. Now the Democrats and the Biden regime get to say, oh, well, that was all investigated. No, the DOJ, they cleared everybody of everything. This is the ultimate whitewash. Listen now to Ted Cruz. Senator Cruz hit the nail right on the head. You want to know what the Hunter plea deal means? Roll cut 5. Mike.
It's camouflage. Listen, I predicted months ago that what happened today is exactly what would happen. I do every week a podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz. And what I said on Verdict is I said Merrick Garland is going to indict Hunter Biden because he wants to be able to say, look how even-handed I am. I indicted a Biden, I indicted a Trump. And I said there's going to be a tell for whether they actually care about enforcing the law. If they go after some ticky-tack tax offense or gun crime and they make it all personal and they isolate it just to Hunter Biden, then you know this is just about the Biden Department of Justice pretending to be even-handed. But the third thing it is, and the most troubling thing it is corruption. Because the purpose of this indictment is what you just played a minute ago. It's for the media to say, it's all over, don't look into the big guy.
Bingo. Don't look into the big guy. That's what this is all about. This is how corrupt our Department of Justice has become. This is how corrupt the FBI has become. We're a joke. The country's become an absolute joke. Really, we're starting to look like a banana republic. No, we're a banana republic. Let's not kid ourselves anymore. This is what the Democrats have brought this country to. Very quickly, on June 6th, 2 weeks ago, 15 days ago, This is what Trump predicted on Truth Social. Here's what he said about the Democrats. They are the party of disinformation. They'll hit Hunter with something small to make their strike on me look, quote unquote, fair. Nothing about these fascists is fair or honest. Fight, all in caps. Well, he's right. He's right. This was a slap on the wrist, the mother of all sweetheart deals, and now Hunter Biden walks, and the media can now cover for Joe Biden and the Biden crime family. My question now to you, it's a double-barreled question. Should Hunter have gone to jail? I say absolutely, no question about it. And now, two, where do we go from here? What do the Republicans need to do? What do we, the public, need to do? Because what is crystal clear is that our government now has become a criminal syndicate. It is a criminal enterprise. It's a mafia state, as I've been saying now for a long time. And so the crooks are now in bed with law enforcement. The crooks, the swamp, the ruling class, the establishment, whatever you want to call them, they now control the dirty DOJ, the dirty FBI, the dirty ATF, all of these agencies. So how can we now hold criminal politicians accountable? You can't. It's up to us. It's no longer up to our own government is no longer up to it. Like every other third world banana republic. It's up to the people if they want to see any justice or any accountability. Am I wrong? 617-266-6868 is the number. Mike, how much time left? Okay. I'm going to start taking calls right after the break. So here it is. Hunter Biden now will face no jail time whatsoever. He got a sweetheart plea deal, misdemeanors on 2 tax charges. They will drop the gun violation or the gun charges. All he's got to do is not do any drugs for 2 years and never own a firearm again. Now, I want to ask everybody, if you didn't pay $3 million worth of income on taxes, if you were caught with an illegal gun and illegally disposing of it, would you be walking free or would you be spending time behind bars? Okay, Hunter Biden, the son of the president, now gets the deal of a lifetime. Do we now live in a 2-tiered justice system? Double standard of justice. One for the rich, one for the powerful, one for the establishment and the swamp, and another one for the rest of us. 617-266-6868. John in Dunstable. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call. You got me, Jeff?
Yes, go ahead, John, please. The floor is yours.
Okay. Now, Jeff, I know you're a licensed gun owner. I'm a licensed gun owner. And when you fill out your application, Jeff, they ask you your veterans, your status. Now, he was in the service supposedly, and he had to have, if he wasn't dishonorably discharged, he might have got a general discharge, which is looked upon as the same thing. Now, that would have been the first red flag that would have come up where, they would have wanted to know why he was discharged in that way. So he would have been disqualified when they, if the feds did a real investigation on him. Now, his father and him were involved, have the Secret Service around them all the time. So when he got put into the computer, the same as you and I are, where does it go, Jeff? it goes to the FBI, which is supposedly the top police department in the world. That's what they say. I don't agree with that, but that's what they say. So they know everything that happened. This is the deep state is complicit with who they want to be corrupt, which is that is federal corruption. On your application, Jeff, they ask if you ever lost a gun. You know what I'm talking about because
Yes.
you fill it out the same as me. Now, as you mentioned, there are numerous people that are incarcerated for, owning a gun illegally. Numerous. These people should be set free according to what the DOJ has done with Hunter Biden. That's my opinion. Anyways, I think they all should be set free. And I just think, Jeff, that we're going down such a dark hole. I see no way out of it. The only thing that I can tell you is I think that the people have to do something. And this is just my opinion, Jeff, and I might be wrong. But if there's any way that people can get together and start showing support for President Trump by going to Channel 5 every couple of weeks. If we can get the people, Jeff, I understand that I've been to all of your rallies. When you first came on the radio, you were up in Westford. There was only a handful of people there. I was one of the people that was there. And if you can get the people that they're all talk and no bite, Jeff. If we could do something to show that Massachusetts will stand behind the President Trump and a corrupt government, if we could give it a try. If people don't show up, Jeff, we just got to wash our hands and wait. Only thing I can say to you is keep your powder dry, because that's what it's going to come down to.
Well, I mean, they're pushing. I mean, there's no question now. There really is. I mean, now it's flagrant. Look, they're slapping us in the face. This is a slap in the face. Let's not kid each other. John, you make some excellent points as always, and thank you for that call, John. No, the Hunter Biden plea deal is a complete slap in the face. And what they're doing, this is what they're doing. Look, we have to stop thinking like Americans. I hate to say this, but because, as I said a long time ago, we're all Eastern Europeans now. If you come from an Eastern European banana republic or dictatorship or former communist regime, you're like, oh, I've seen this movie before. So the FBI and the DOJ are no longer what you once thought of as the FBI or the DOJ. They're the modern day American equivalent of the Stasi or the Gestapo or the KGB, whatever it is. Their job is not justice. Their job is to protect the regime. Their job is to protect the criminals in power. Like, let's be crystal clear. That's what they're there for. So the days of J. Edgar Hoover and however flawed he was, those days are gone. And I mean long gone. So that's the first point. The second point, so they're there to cover for the ruling class. Now, the second point, and this to me is the mind bender in all this. How many millions of Americans, and let's be more candid, how many black Americans, black males, again, look at the poor Jack Jones of the New England Patriots. Okay? This poor black man. I think he plays corner. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's a defensive back. This guy, pardon me? Yeah, cornerback. Okay. So this guy is facing 30 years in prison. They hauled his ass to court. What was it? Yesterday or 2 days ago. And he's being arraigned because on gun charges. On gun charges. Now, you've got Hunter Biden with an illegal firearm. It was illegally possessed and illegally purchased. He was kicked out of the Navy because he was a drug addict. So he had no business, and he was a drug addict when he got the gun. He was lied on the form. He should never have gotten the gun. It's an illegal gun. He illegally bought it, possessed it, and then illegally disposed of it. Now, the kicker, as many of you have been texting me, is he dropped it off illegally in a garbage can in a school zone. Now, again, Dorchester, Mattapan, Chelsea, because those are the areas they've been cracking down on. And tell me, illegal gun possession, illegal gun disposal, never mind in a school zone. You think you're getting a diversion program? I never heard of this. Or are they going to haul your rear end off to jail for at least a couple of years? At least a couple of years. This is rich man's justice. And it's not just rich man's justice as in, wow, he can afford a real fancy white shoe lawyer. And then all the loopholes and all the technicalities. No, he had a horrible lawyer. This guy's a joke, Chris Clark, his lawyer. What they're telling us is this. We can do whatever we want. Do you understand? We can commit any crime. We can do bribery, pay to play, influence peddling. We can do drugs. We can do prostitution. We can get illegal guns. We can do anything we want. You can even have us on a freaking laptop with tens of thousands of pictures. He's dealing drugs. He's banging Russian prostitutes. The guy, we're talking tens of millions of dollars in money coming in from China, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Russia, you name it. You've got oligarchs with him and his father on tape, for God's sakes. Nothing. What are you going to do about it? And Biden smirks, the old man. He smirks, the degenerate son. And I'm telling you, you ask anybody. Ask the Cubans in Florida. Ask the Venezuelans in Florida. Ask the Chinese who fled communism. Ask them. Is this any different from the countries you're fleeing? They go, nope. Even the smirk, the smile, the arrogance, the hubris, the whole thing. So, that's what this is. Now, the Republicans are useless. I'm telling you, they're absolutely useless. I've never seen a more useless bunch of people in my entire life. Like little chihuahuas. They're just, what? Another strongly worded letter? Really? Oh, well, this one's going to really scare them. It's up to us. We're going to have to break this hammerlock, this grip that they now have imposed on our country. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mike in Boston. Thanks for holding, Mike, and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. Great show, as always.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a quick question, get your viewpoint. Either yesterday or a couple of days ago, the special committee with Kuhner said it will not, the verdict will not stop their investigation of Joe Biden and his dealings. And today you said that it's pretty much well over, that the verdict was meant to stop that. So I just wanted to get your comments on that.
No, Mike, I mean, Comer's going to continue, and I think they're going to uncover many more crimes. I mean, Comer's really got Biden by the tonsils, and he's squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. The intention of the plea deal is to try to cut off more of this damaging information from coming out. Whether they'll succeed is another matter. But that's the intention. Because in theory, the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, David Weiss, was supposed to be looking into the Hunter Biden laptop. He was supposed to be looking into all of the bribery, corruption, the influence peddling, all of this unaccounted money that poured into Hunter Biden, poured into the Biden crime family. So now we're finding out he didn't. He didn't. I can play you cuts. The lawyer for Hunter said we were never asked once about the laptop. And then all kinds of other aspects. So this was clearly a cover-up. There's no question. So they're going to try to give the Democrats, give the media in particular, and the Biden re-election team the excuse of saying, well, no, the DOJ looked into all of this, Mike. No, Mike, federal prosecutors, they looked into all this, Mike. There's nothing more. This is all there was, and he pled guilty, and justice has been done. So it's not going to work. Now, to show you how sleazy they are, Mike, the Comer team came out, Comer and McCarthy, to his credit. They came out yesterday and said, okay, that's fine. If the investigation is now over for you guys, hand over all of the material you gathered on Hunter Biden. His financial records, his bank records. You must have all of that. So hand it over to us because you don't need it. The investigation is over. Well, guess what? David Weiss says, oh, no, it's still ongoing. But Hunter Biden's lawyer comes out, his lawyer comes out, Chris Clark, and says, no, my understanding is it's been resolved. The case is over. All of this now, the investigation is over and resolved. So, for Hunter Biden, it's over. For the House Republicans and people investigating the Biden crime family, hey, we're still looking into all this, Mike. So we can't hand over anything to Comer. You see how dirty the game is?
Yep.
Comer's still going to get him. There's no question. They've got him. They've got him on tape. They've got the FBI document. They've got so much. And there's an IRS whistleblower, David Shapley, 14-year IRS veteran, who heads up the International Tax Crime Unit and at the IRS. And he has come out, he was the big whistleblower, came out, was it a month ago, saying they're giving Hunter Biden special treatment. I've seen it with my own eyes. Merrick Garland is interfering. The DOJ is interfering. There's money unaccounted for in accounts, shell companies all over Europe, all over, tied to China, tied to Ukraine, and they won't even look at it. So, and David Weiss didn't even interview Shapley.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your comment.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. So, no, they're going to continue, and they're going to find more, and they're going to find more, and they're going to find more. And eventually, it's going to be so much, the American people are going to choke on it. And so the question is, how much more of this do we want before we say it's time to get these criminals, these traitors, out of the White House? 617-266-6868. Mark in Medford. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Once again, Donald Trump, another Donald Trump prediction comes true. How many more times can this man possibly be right and nothing happens to the other side? How many more times, Jeff? Forget the conspiracy theories. Those are out the window. This is all truth now.
Well, Mark, you kind of read my mind. I'm like, for a crazy conspiracy theorist, boy, Trump seems to be right every single time.
To me, when I said to her that, if it was you, me, or even Sandy for that matter, we get a lot worse than what Hunter Biden's getting right now. I mean, they're pretty much saying, yeah, we'll put you on probation. Just promise you'll never do this again. Well, of course you can't do it again because you violated the law, the gun laws, so you're never going to be able to actually get a permit, let alone, even obtain one to fill one out, let alone get one. So that's not going to happen. But what about the other crimes, Jeff? What about sex with a minor? What about, possession of crack cocaine with possible intent to distribute? What about all that? Why is that not mentioned?
Mark, you're on fire. That's what's mind-blowing about the whole thing. Mark, look, let me ask you this. Okay, and not that you would ever do this, but just to play out what you and I are talking about. You've got a laptop, the laptop from hell. and you're bragging on freaking tape how your father is this powerful politician, and he's using you to line his pockets and your pockets, and you're admitting all this on tape, and you've got tens of millions of dollars unexplained. You don't pay taxes on $3 million worth. You've got a gun that you illegally bought, you dumped into a garbage can in a freaking school zone. You're doing crack cocaine. You're dealing crack cocaine. You're sleeping with underage minors. You're banging Russian prostitutes. It's all caught on tape. Mark, honestly, how many years are you going to jail?
Jeff, you had me at banging Russian prostitutes and banging minors. You had me there. I mean, for a very long time, Jeff. A very long time. Not only that, Jeff, didn't he also use daddy's credit card to pay for prostitutes?
Yes.
I mean, where does it end, Jeff? Where does it stop? I mean, they talk about, please don't get mad at me, but, the other side is talking about eliminating somebody. Maybe they're talking about eliminating the wrong person, because this guy will take down everybody with him, including his family.
Well, and Mark, what I find, to me, what's really nauseating, really, it makes your stomach turn. How do these FBI agents look at themselves in the mirror? How does this U.S. attorney, David Weiss, how does this loser look at himself in the mirror? Or Merrick Garland, or all these other people? I mean, and I gotta tell you, man, if I'm rotting in jail now on a drug charge, or a gun charge, or a prostitution charge, or, how many white-collar people, get thrown in jail for not paying their taxes, tax evasion? 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. I'm like, are you kidding me? The Democrats have a get-out-of-jail-free card. And they wave it now right in our face, Mark. Right in our face. We're in a big club. You just ain't in it.
Oh, please. In my opinion, I don't think any of these corrupt individuals, I really don't think they're getting a good night's sleep. I think they're tossing and turning every night, because all it's going to take is one person to finally say, you know what? I can't be in this anymore. I can't do it. I do not want to go to jail for the rest of my life or possibly be killed. I need to come clean. I need to say what I need to say and tell everybody and let everybody know what they need to know. I'm guaranteeing you, Jeff, these people are not sleeping well at night. Guaranteed.
Mark, from your lips to God's ears, thank you very much for that call. I hope, at a minimum, I hope they're not sleeping well at night. Well, now apparently Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's partner, is now going to testify. And he's going to blow the whistle on Hunter Biden and the big guy. By the way, Zlochevsky, who's the big Ukrainian oligarch driving all of this, the owner of Burisma, confirmed to the FBI confidential informant, the big guy is Joe Biden. So the big guy that you see on all these forms, he goes, yeah, that's how he's known, the big guy. That's how Hunter refers to his father. He's the big guy. So, look, you've got and by the way, Weiss never once asked for the FBI document. Even though Bill Barr admitted, he goes, no, we sent it to him. We said, you got to look into this. He refused to look into it. So you're refusing to look into an FBI confidential informant on a silver platter telling you that Joe Biden took $5 million in bribes and Hunter Biden took $5 million in bribes from Zlochevsky, the owner of Burisma? And no, you didn't want to investigate that? That's too dangerous for you? You're scared of that? What a joke. The investigation was 5 years, by the way. Our taxpayer money, 5 years. As Barr himself said, he goes, in 2019, we could have gotten him on misdemeanors. When I was sworn in, I said we can get him on. This is easy. This is low-hanging fruit. So 5 years for this? Oh, you're just, I mean, now you're slapping us. Forget spitting in our face. Now you're just whacking us. Now it's, one slap, then another, and then another, and then another. 617-266-6868 is the number. But the Dems love it. They love it. They love it. Larry in Leominster. Thanks for holding, Larry, and welcome.
Jeff, it is a great day to be a young white Democrat. I was telling Sandy when we are talking, isn't this what the kids are calling white privilege these days?
Oh, this is the definition. This is Exhibit A.
So white privilege only applies to Democrats, apparently.
Well, it depends, Larry. They don't mind white privilege for them. I mean, the one thing I've learned about liberals and Democrats is that there is no bigger hypocrites on the planet. I mean, it's stunning. It's just incredible. But Larry, why is the media again circling Hunter, circling the wagons around Joe, circling the wagons around the Democrats? So many Democrats and the local media in this state, disgusting. He's recovering. He's a drug addict who's recovering. This is all part of his recovery. I swear, we're proud of Hunter. So he's the victim. Hunter, by the time the local media in this state was done yesterday, we're supposed to feel sorry for Hunter. Why is he being investigated? He's being mistreated. He's being picked on, Larry. Poor guy. He's a good guy, and he just, had a little bit of a battle with cocaine. But now he's back. And we just won't leave the poor guy alone, Larry.
You know who I feel bad for, sir? Wesley Snipes. I don't know if you recall, but back during the Obama administration, he was sent to jail for 2.5 years for simple tax evasion.
Yep.
No gun, no nothing. 2.5 years.
Yep.
And as I was sitting there waiting on hold, waiting my turn, it dawned on me, I bet there's a lot of really upset people from January 6th in the D.C. jail going, what the actual hell? We haven't even been brought to trial yet. We've been languishing in jail for going on, 2 years now? Over 2 years. And this joker gets to skate. You're right. The two-tiered justice system. And you had mentioned something earlier, and I wanted to correct you. You were saying something about, the politicians are behind this. It's actually, the politicians are the front men, yeah, but this is a deep state behind it, right? Now, the Democrats are giving cover because I was watching some hearings yesterday about the deep state, and the Democrats are laughing and I think that's just some made-up term. I've never heard of the deep state. What is this? Looking under every rock, blind as a bat. But, it's a deep state that has gotten too powerful over the years, and that's where you can blame the politicians. Especially in Congress, they've ceded too much of the power, and I don't think it started off maliciously. I think it was just pure laziness, where they created all these bureaus like the ATF and all this other stuff because they didn't want to deal with that stuff. That's nothing. That's minor stuff. We're above having to deal with that petty stuff. Let's create another czar or another department to handle that. And they gave up a lot of their power to unelected bureaucrats. And that should scare everybody, including Democrats.
Oh, I agree, Larry. It's what they call the administrative state. And you're right. It's the permanent bureaucracy, the unelected bureaucracy, and it's a leviathan. It's massive. It's huge. They have very powerful vested interests, and they're called like the permanent government, the shadow government, the government behind the scenes. And, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And now we're seeing the fruits of it. These politicians, their children, their sons, their daughters, You can't hold them accountable for anything. It's just they get away with stuff that nobody else would even think of getting away with. And I'm telling you, this is destroying the rule of law. It's destroying trust in all institutions. You want to talk about undermining our democracy. This is it. I mean, this is it. And Larry, my question to you, very simple. Do you think Trump is going to get another 5 percentage point bounce? Because he's the only one now that says, I'm going to shatter this criminal class. This swamp, these gangsters now running our government. You know what? The deep state, they're enablers, they're protectors. I'm going to dismantle them and I'm going to destroy them. He's the only sheriff that's saying, I'm going to round them up and I'm going to put them all in jail. Do you think Trump now gets another bounce out of this, Larry?
Yes. And this is what I mean. You're right. The Congress, the Republicans in Congress, feckless, useless as a lawnmower and AstroTurf. We've discussed that. His campaign staff should create a commercial about show all the bits and pieces of the crimes that Hunter committed, and then have a little image of a person walking off skipping scot-free. Is it the number 2 most powerful, Catherine Clark from Massachusetts?
She's number 2 behind Hakeem Jeffries.
Assaulted, committed battery on a police officer. Skipped away. Nothing happened. Slap on the wrist. And that's what he needs to package it as. Are you tired of the Democrats keep getting away with all these, crimes, not being held accountable? Put me back in office and I'll clean house.
I'm with you. Oh, Larry, I'm with you all the way. Excellent. I think you're dead on. I think he needs to capitalize on this. I think he needs to expose it, unmask it, go to the American people and say, would your child get away with this? And the American will say, no. Well, how come they're getting away with it? Larry, thank you so much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends. By the way, I think Trump, in particular, I would go right into the black community, right into the African-American community, and look at Hunter Biden and just play it's all on the internet now. This is him. How many of you or how many of your sons or daughters were prosecuted and sent to jail on on drug charges, on possession of crack or dealing crack or on gun charges? How many? How many? And this guy gets to skate? The president's son gets to walk? No problem? Slap on the wrist? This is what the Democrats are doing to you. You get thrown behind bars, but if you're a child of the Bidens or if you're the big guy himself, nothing. Go right to the heart of the black community. It's time we shame these Democrats once and for all. This is nothing more than protecting the ruling class. This is criminals protecting criminals. That's all this is now. And if we want our country back, we've got to now break this veil of criminal behavior, because that's what this now is. So I don't want to hear from any moonbat or any liberal, well, the DOJ cleared Hunter. Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they cleared him all right. 617-266-6868. Just a joke. Honestly, they're turning the country into a joke. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868. Bob in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call, Jeff, as usual. I got so many things I want to say. A lot of it's been said already. But as Senator Cruz said earlier, he predicted this I predicted this, and I'll bet you predicted this, and most of the listeners predicted this. And it's just so out of control and so unfair. And like you just said about all these poor black kids that are in jail for the same thing that Hunter did, and nothing happens to him. And also, it trickles down. Look at Governor Baker's son, groping a girl in the airplane, drunk driving, gets slapped on the wrist. It trickles down to all these people in political power.
Bob, do you think we can ever finally start holding these corrupt politicians and their children accountable?
Not as long as they have these DAs they have in power. That Merrick Garland, he is a disgrace.
Oh, I agree. He's an absolute disgrace. Impeach his ass. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, let me ask all of you, do you now feel like we live in a two-tier justice system? Do we have essentially now two standards of justice? One for the political class, the swamp, the establishment, powerful politicians and their backers, and another one for you, me, all of us. If we didn't pay $3 million in taxes, would we just get a slap on the wrist? If we illegally bought a gun and then illegally dumped it in a garbage can in a school zone, would we just be told, go to a pre-trial diversion program and we'll drop the charges? If you and I were laundering money, millions of dollars, and selling classified information, selling it, given to us by our corrupt father who was then vice president, do you think we'd be walking around, just scot-free? If we were involved in pay-to-play, in bribery, in corruption, and influence peddling, if we were caught smoking crack cocaine and sleeping with prostitutes or people who are underage, I really, would we just know nothing to see here? Or do you think they would throw the book at us? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. I want to play two cuts and then go right back to the blazing phone lines. Listen now. This was Biden in San Francisco, asked by reporters about the Hunter Biden plea deal. His answer tells you everything you need to know. Roll cut one, Mike.
Mr. President, any reaction to the play?
I'm very proud of my son.
You're proud of your son? Well, yeah, he's a chip off the old block, huh? That's my boy. Look at that, Look at this. Pulls off heist after heist after heist, robbing the American people blind, and slap on the wrist. Gets away with it. That's my junior. I mean, remember? He said that his son was the most honest man he ever knew, who never did anything wrong. This was the BS coming out of Biden's mouth. Now, listen to Chris Clark. This to me is unbelievable. I don't know if he's telling the truth, because, these shyster lawyers, some of these defense lawyers, for people like Hunter Biden, I mean, they lie through their teeth. But listen now to Chris Clark. This is Hunter Biden's lawyer on MS Left BC. This is incredible if it's true. Roll cut two, Mike.
Do you have any idea if Hunter Biden's laptop had anything to do with this investigation? Was it used?
I don't. No, I don't. I mean,
were you ever asked about it?
I can't recall being asked about it, to be honest with you. But there's nothing about the situation that's been filed that has a thing to do with the laptop.
Why not?
Incredible.
I don't know. You'd have to ask the prosecutors.
Incredible. If it's true, incredible. I mean, you want to talk about prosecutorial negligence. You want to talk about abuse of power. You want to talk about shoddy prosecutorial. I mean, just to me, this guy should be, Weiss should be disbarred. David Weiss, the U.S. attorney, should be disbarred. You mean to tell me you guys never used the Hunter Biden laptop? Is that possible? Is it possible? So really, the fix was in. So what you did was you sat on it for 5 years. You sat and you sat and you sat, and then you said, now is the time to make the deal. Couple of dinky misdemeanor charges. We're going to drop the charges on the gun violation, and Hunter, don't worry, you're not going to spend a millisecond in jail. And have a nice life, Hunter. I mean, this is disgraceful. Beyond disgraceful. 617. Really, I got to tell you, really, even in banana republics, I swear to you, they don't do this. No. They look at the Hunter Biden laptop, and then they keep it as leverage to extract a favor or something. But if this guy never actually even looked at it, holy mackerel. Colossal incompetence. No, willful incompetence. Willful. There's no question. 617-266-6868 is the number. And Trump is the bad guy? Trump. He's the guy you want to put behind bars for 100 years? Barbara in Framingham. Thanks for holding, Barbara, and welcome.
Hi. So a couple of things. One is I don't think he needs to go to black neighborhoods. I mean, if you're in your own business or you pay taxes, there was just quarterlies we had to pay a week ago. And he's getting away with $3 million not paying taxes. Another thing is the guy, we have the guy in Massachusetts who gave away information because he was trying to be cool, the military guy that got caught. I think he's like 22.
Yes.
And then I don't think that it's poor Jack Jones myself, but I understand where you're coming from because Hunter just got away with the same thing. But it's in our face.
Barbara, can you hang on? I really want to touch on that last point with you. It's in our face. And I don't think that's by accident. I think it's deliberate. We'll discuss it. Your reaction next. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Hunter gets a sweetheart. Oh, underline sweetheart plea deal. No jail time. Nothing. No fine. No community service. There are no consequences. None. So, let me ask you, do you feel that there is now clearly a double standard of justice? Do we have a two-tier justice system in the United States? 617-266-6868. I want to go right back to Barbara in Framingham. Before I do, I want to read this email the Kuhner man received. Subject heading, proof of a dictatorship. Jeff, do you know what this is reminding me of? Remember Uday and Qusay Hussein? Because they were the sons of the dictator Saddam Hussein, they could literally do whatever they wanted in their country, and there were no consequences for it at all. This is what happens in dictatorships. Barbara, this leads me to my question for you. You mentioned before the break, it's in our face. They're telling us we can do whatever we want, and we mean anything, whatever we want, and there's nothing none of you can do about it. Barbara, do you think this is deliberate to show us who our masters are? That ultimately they rule over us, and they want us to now know they rule over us?
I do, and I also think that I don't call them the Republican Party anymore because they're the do-nothing party. They don't do anything. You had Jim Jordan on for a few weeks. What does he do? Nothing. I know everyone says it's only him, but no. You know what? Start doing something about this. You have all this evidence and you do nothing. So part of me thinks that all of them are a little corrupt and none of them want to stand up, and I don't care whatever they have on you. So what? Letting your country go down into the toilet because maybe you did something with someone somewhere and you can't. You're an elected official. Do the right thing for once in your lives.
Barbara, you mentioned earlier about, as a business owner, you got to file quarterlies, and if you didn't pay $3 million in income in taxes, you'd be in big trouble with the IRS and with the federal government. Barbara, I'm just curious, if you evaded taxes, if you engaged in tax fraud, tax evasion, and didn't pay taxes $3 million worth of income, and the income, they don't know how you got it. It's foreign income from shell companies, shell bank accounts, fake bank accounts. They have no idea how Barbara in Framingham got this $3 million. But on top of that, she didn't pay taxes on this $3 million. Do you think they would just say, just don't do it again, Barbara?
Be sure I'd be in jail. And it would cost me a lot of money.
That's incredible. It's just incredible.
It's so sad. We lost our country. It's really sad out of corruption.
Barbara, do you think now this is going to give Trump another massive boost, another surge in the polls?
Yes, but along with what you're saying, I don't think he needs to go into different places. I really do think he could do a commercial just saying, you pay your taxes, he doesn't have to pay his taxes. That goes to every single person. Every person pays taxes, but he doesn't.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Barbara, thank you very much for that call. Here, let's keep it very basic then. I think she's right. Let's not overthink it. Here, let me ask all of you. You don't pay your taxes. You don't pay your taxes. You don't pay your taxes for 2017 because that's the accusations against Hunter. You didn't pay him in 2017 and you didn't pay him in 2018. You just didn't pay. What do you think would happen to you? This is what I told Grace. If we didn't pay our taxes year after year after year after year, you think I get some lousy misdemeanor charge and, okay, Jeff, strongly worded letter, don't do it again, Jeff. Jeff, you're going to have to pay back the taxes that you owe, and that's it. But don't do it again, okay, Jeff? Okay, Jeffy? Is that what would happen to you? So we wouldn't go to jail? No, we wouldn't be fined? No, the IRS wouldn't come barreling down the house, kicking the door open and saying, open up the books. As I told Grace last night, you and I would be in jail and we'd have lost our house by now. They would have taken everything. You don't pay your taxes year after year in this country? Are you kidding me? So I want to ask you, seriously, if this was you, do you think, hey, I'm a nice guy. You know what? Here, I was battling drug addiction. If you turned around and said, I didn't pay taxes all those years. Really? Yeah. But you made a lot of money. Yeah. But I was battling my addiction to crack cocaine. I'm a recovering addict. Oh, okay. Well, we're so proud of you. So you know what? Just pay what you owe and have a nice life. Is that what would happen to you? Now, I'm telling you, only the most fanatical, delusional Democrat thinks the answer to that is yes. 617-266-6868 is the number. Michael in the great state of Pennsylvania. Thanks for holding, Michael, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, good morning. I agree with Barbara 100%. You know, just last week, Adam Schiff was found guilty for falsely accusing Donald Trump. Nothing happened. Our president of today, Biden, digitally raped a woman. Nothing. He's accused of taking files, top secret files home. Nothing. Where are our Republican leaders? Where are our representation? When something, how fast did they expedite, not once, twice, Donald Trump for impeachment? With false accusations that they all knew. How much more evidence do we need to get rid of these bums? Where are our leaders? When something goes wrong, whether it's a cop that kills a black man, whether it's something that goes against the black community, whether it's something that's against the democratic belief, Al Sharpton is always on TV. Jesse Jackson, LeBron James, you name it, and they put all their pawns, all their puppets up there. Where is our representation? Where is Ted Cruz? Where is all the Mr. Jordan? Like you had him on for the past few weeks. We have to wake up.
No, Michael, I couldn't agree with you more. To me, what I find a bit disconcerting, honestly, this is the part that kind of bothers me. It disturbs me. It's just the overall lack of outrage. I mean, not from you, obviously, or from this audience. I don't mean that. But, you know, you mentioned, like, where's Ted Cruz? Well, where's Rand Paul? You know, where's Kevin McCarthy? Where's Mitch McConnell? I can just run down the whole list. You know, there's Marjorie Taylor Greene, there's Lauren Boebert, there's a handful of them, and they're the only ones. You mentioned Jim Jordan. Yeah, where is Jim Jordan? Like, this is what I don't get. You know, as Barbara put it, really, the country's going down the toilet. I mean, we can see it now. It's so obvious. And to me, I don't get, where are the victims, the parents of the victims? You know, hey, my child on, you know, a crack charge had to go to jail. We didn't pay our taxes. We went to jail. You know, whatever. We engaged in money laundering. We went to jail. And so all of these people, so many people who have gone to prison for just parts of what Hunter Biden is guilty of. And it's almost like, this is what I find disturbing, Michael. When you live in a banana republic, there's a cynicism that sets in, where ordinary, law-abiding, tax-paying, decent people say, well, that's just the system. The powerful get away with it. That's just how it is. When we begin to accept this as the new normal, then it's really over. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you want to talk about propaganda now to the nth degree. To the point where it's so bad, like in some of these countries around the world, people living in those countries just laugh. I mean, it's so bad, they just laugh. Like, oh, come on. I mean, you don't even believe the BS that's coming out of your mouth. Listen now to CNN's Dana Bash saying, there's no two-tier justice system. No. In fact, what the Hunter Biden now plea deal shows is they got a Trump and they got a Biden. The DOJ, it's so fair. This is the first son, the president's son. And now he's had to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanors. No, there's one system of justice, and the DOJ and the FBI, they couldn't be more impartial, more fair, or more objective. Listen, you want to hear some serious hardcore BS? Roll cut 10, Mike.
What is the same is that the Republican response, those who feel the need to or the desire to defend Donald Trump are making the same arguments that they are making against Hunter Biden, which is allegations that the DOJ that there are two tiers of justice and that one is for Democrats, the other is Republicans. We can't say this enough. There is no evidence to prove that at all. That we need to also point out that the U.S. attorney in Delaware is a Trump appointee, intentionally kept by Joe Biden to try to take away the appearance of any political influence by the Biden White House. But that doesn't stop the politics of this.
I mean, this is pathetic. Like, really, I got to say this about Dana Bash. Are you that stupid that you believe what you're saying? Like, I'm like, it's either door one or door two. Either you're that stupid and that ignorant, or man, do you lie through your teeth. I mean, I don't know which one's worse, honestly. That you believe the propaganda or you're able to deliver it with a straight face. So, number one, the fact that David Weiss was appointed by Trump, who cares? A loser is a loser is a loser. Like, who cares? Okay, that's point number one. A bad U.S. attorney is a bad U.S. attorney is a bad U.S. attorney. Who cares who the U.S. attorney was appointed by? That's numero uno. Number two, and to me, this is the heart of the matter. So let me get this straight. Okay, Joe Biden has classified documents in his garage. As a senator and as a vice president, he had no business having those documents. Thousands of them. Thousands. Which he then illegally retained. Does the FBI raid his house? Is he facing any charges? Hillary Clinton. 33,000 subpoenaed emails. Subpoenaed. Some of those emails, top secret, that she put on a private, unsecure server in her bathroom that were hacked by the Chinese and the Russians. They were hacked when she was Secretary of State. They even destroyed the freaking hammer. With the hammer, they destroyed the phones that the emails were placed on. Can you say destruction of evidence? Can you say obstruction of justice? Nothing. Nothing. Trump, 100 years behind bars. 100 years behind bars. That's what he's facing. But you know what? Let's not even make the obvious. That's like saying the sky is blue. No. Let's flip it. This wasn't Hunter Biden. Let me ask everybody in this audience. This was Donald Trump Jr., the son. If this was Don Jr., and they had a laptop, and he's accused, forget of what Hunter's accused of, half of what Hunter's accused of. Doing crack cocaine, dealing crack cocaine, Russian prostitutes, tens and tens of millions of dollars of unexplained money coming in from foreign powers and foreign entities, shell companies, shell bank accounts, pay to play, money laundering, bribery, classified documents being sold to foreign powers. Do you think Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump, pick any one of the sons, do you think they would get plead guilty to 2 tax misdemeanors and will drop the gun charges and have a nice life? You don't spend a day in jail? Donald Trump Jr., 4 years ago, forget a 5-year investigation, 4 years ago, Don Jr. or Eric Trump would be in an orange jumpsuit, in shackles, spending the rest of their lives in jail. Now, you know it, I know it, everybody knows it. So for Dana Bash, that airhead, to go, there's no evidence. That's like when the liberals call this show and I go, I'm tired of it, man. Like, I'm not going to keep arguing whether the sky is blue. I'm just going to stop, please. You're lowering the collective IQ of the audience every time you open your mouth. Now, Mike yesterday made an absolutely brilliant point. Mike said to me, Jeff, before I came on this show, by the way, he's turned into a great assistant producer under Sandy. And he said, I was a sports guy, big sports guy. I really didn't follow the news now. I'm immersed in it. But before I got on this show, I was like most Americans. And he was actually funny. He goes, I was the low information voter you keep talking about. The low info crowd. That was me. And he goes, you know how we get our news? He goes, Jeff, I'm telling you, that's the majority of the American people. We get our news from social media. From Twitter or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. And it's about 5 minutes. We don't get into the in-depth of anything. We just glance at headlines. And then we're into sports or we're into entertainment or movies or gaming or whatever it is that we do. So he goes, Jeff, I'm telling you, because I know this is how I would have perceived it. Well, they got Hunter Biden. They got Donald Trump. DOJ is fair. They're nonpartisan. They're objective. They're down the middle. What's the problem? They don't even know that he's going to get no jail time. They don't know. No fine, no community service, nothing. What they just see is pled guilty to tax charges and a gun violation. And they go, oh, okay. Well, yeah. Hunter Biden's being held accountable. What is Trump and what are the Republicans talking about? So Trump is being held accountable and Biden's son is being held accountable. There's no problem. And he's right. Mike is right. He goes, Jeff, the average low information voter doesn't go beneath the surface at all. They're just skimming through headlines. That's it. They don't know everything you're talking about. They have no clue whatsoever. That's what the media and the Biden regime is banking on. That they're going to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people. Hey, what are you talking about? Well, of course. Well, the investigation's over. The DOJ looked into it. U.S. attorney appointed by Trump looked into it. There's no there. It's a nothing burger. What are you talking about? No, there was no pay to play, no bribery, no corruption, no influence peddling, nothing. What are you talking about? No, the laptop? No, nothing. Already looked at, debunked. That's their favorite word. Debunked. It's been debunked. No, the DOJ, it's all been debunked. Tax charges, he pled guilty, and gun violation, and he's Hunter's an addict. Stop picking on the guy. He's a victim. Hunter Biden is the victim from these evil, meanie Republicans. That's going to be the spin. And I'm telling you, the ruin of this country is the low information voter. 617-266-6868, because all of this is now aimed at the low info crowd. Dave in East Boston. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Dave.
Jeff, as far as I remember, for each gun you have illegally in Massachusetts, it's an automatic year, and also, and it's like, Jack Jones went to the airport with his guns that they found on him, but he's saying that he didn't know anything about them. Who packed his luggage for him before he went to the airport? And as far as Hunter Biden, it's like, no. he ought to be going to jail just like everybody else. Jeff, I got 6 months probation a few years back in the day when I was running around crazy for 4 Valiums that I had in my pocket, Jeff. I got 6 months.
For 4 Valiums?
Well, I got probation on top of it, Jeff. I didn't go away, but I got 4 months probation.
No, I know. For what? For some lousy Valiums? That's it?
Yeah, 4 Valiums, Jeff. I had 6 months probation. It's like, and the crack laws today are ridiculous, and Biden's getting away with this.
No
it's
probation.
Like,
Nothing.
So what's going to happen to Jack Jones now? Because I saw his lawyer on TV last night. I don't know. I didn't like her. She's like rambling her big mouth saying he didn't know nothing about the guns. They're illegal guns, Jeff. I mean, they wouldn't even register or anything. So he's up against the wall right now. So how's he going to get out of it saying they were his, but he's saying he didn't know anything about them? The boxes have his name on it, the name tags and everything else. I mean, did he think he could actually get away with going through the security at the airport the way things are today? He must have known something, Jeff. It just doesn't add up.
No, I agree. No, Dave, please, I'm not here to defend Jack Jones. I'm with you all the way. I'm with you, Dave. My point is just a simple one, and this is why I made the point. To the rest of the country, Jack Jones, cornerback, New England Patriots, actually, honestly, quite good from my understanding, from what I've read. Yeah, pretty good, right, Mike? So it's a big local story. And so just when you see the local story juxtaposed to what's going on in Hunter Biden, you're like, oh my God, here, you want proof of a double standard? Here it is. So here you have a young black man, 25, 26 years old, and he, packed 2 guns, brought it on a plane, and he's now facing 30 years in jail. 30 years. So his career over, all that multi-million dollars he was supposed to make at a 4-year, $4.4 million 4-year contract. So the multi-millions of bucks gone. His life is going to be ruined. He's going to be a convicted felon. And this guy's finished. I mean, he's lucky if he gets out by the time he's, 45 or 50 years old. Now, you compare that to Hunter Biden. A legal possession of a firearm, an illegal purchase of a firearm, and then dumping it illegally in a school zone in a garbage can. Now, Dave in East Boston is not 100, he's 1,000% correct. In Massachusetts, boom, you get automatic year just for the illegal firearm. It's just that, boom, boom, like bang, 1 year, bang. Never mind everything else. So look at the blatant double standard. That's my only point. It's not whether Jack Jones knew or didn't know or who packed his boxes or he didn't know what was in the box. I mean, come on, really. It's your box, your name, your guns. I'm sorry, man. You're responsible. But what disgusts me is this guy's life is about to be ruined. And Hunter Biden, honestly, if I'm Jack Jones, I know he's got a crazy lawyer. I mean, she's a moron. She's an idiot. But if he had a half-decent lawyer, say, right away, I go press conference. If Jack Jones was Hunter Biden, if he was the son of a white president, I would play the race card. I swear to God I would. And I'd say, you know what? If he was a white kid whose father was Joe Biden, none of this would be happening today. None of it. None of it. How can you argue? You cannot argue because that would be true. I mean, Dave, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. She could say that in court. What's the difference between Hunter Biden having his throwaways into the bucket next to a school zone and, I mean, especially a school zone, Jeff? Who in their right mind would do that? No.
With school shootings, kids. Yeah. Who does that?
The shooting down.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, please. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, Dave.
They said the shooting that took place a couple weeks back down Revere Beach, the kid was only 17 years old, Jeff. So what's going to happen to the kid who did the shooting? And that gun was probably an illegal gun. I mean, Jack Jones should get the same treatment if Hunter Biden got off. Jack Jones ought to get off on this charge because it's a double standard. I know.
And no probation. No, and not only that, you're right, and no probation. Because they call it a pretrial diversion. So in other words, okay, just promise never to use drugs. Okay. And don't ever own a firearm again. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a nice life. So you, with 4 Valiums, 4 pills in your pocket, 4 months probation. I mean, they got him smoking crack. He writes an autobiography. He says he smoked crack for years, Dave, every 15 minutes, quote unquote. Every 15, he's lighting up. 15 minutes, and by the way, he wasn't just, inhaling the stuff. He was dealing, he was selling. And he's selling and using as he's banging or whatever. The prostitute is with him, they're both naked in the bed. Dave, I don't know what else to tell you, man. Dave, if that was you, not that it was, but if that's you doing crack, cocaine, you're inhaling every 15 minutes, you're smoking crack, and you're with a prostitute, and you're dealing from your apartment. Dave, how many years do you think you would get in prison, Dave? Ballpark,
Jeff. With my track record from when I was younger, they'd probably throw the key away.
Really? They put you away behind bars forever?
I'll put it this way. Back in the days, I had my dealings with things. And honestly, if that was me, I'd probably get 20 years. I mean, the way things were back in the 70s and all that, and the attitudes that I had, it's like, I don't know, Jeff.
Yeah, you'd be in prison for a day. Dave, it would be decades. Decades. You'd be an old man by the time they let you out, Dave. Here it is. This conversation. No, really. This, you and I, this call, game, set, and match. Double standard of justice, 2-tier justice system. Right here. Right here. Dave, thank you for your call, my friend. 617-266-6868. And there's CNN. This is CNN. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. So, let me ask you. It's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. According to CNN, there is no 2-tiered system of justice in the United States. Do you agree? Do you agree? So, in plain English, do we have a 2-tiered system of justice, or is CNN right? Equal application under the law, equal treatment under the law, equal justice under the law. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in Nancy, ER. Jeff, why do you always spell your last name? Because people still misspell it. No matter how many times I spell it. So Kuhner. If you prefer, you can vote via Twitter. Our handle there at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhner. Lines are loaded. Diane in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Diane, and welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor again to call you back about the fact that my husband was wearing a Trump hat this past weekend in a bagel shop and was asked to remove it.
Okay, Diane. Oh, okay. I'm so happy you called back. So, Diane, I just want to lay it out for everybody. Poor Diane and her husband, they're both very proud Trump supporters. God bless both of you. Went into their bagel place up in New Hampshire. Her husband had a Trump baseball cap or hat on, and he was explicitly told, take it off or you will not be served. He refused to take it off, as he should not. He should not have taken it off. He was completely right. And they told them they will not serve them because he had the Trump hat and they're Trump supporters. So they were denied service. They were essentially kicked out of the bagel shop. Diane is going to tell us exactly what happened and the name and address of that bagel shop. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I'm so happy that Diane in New Hampshire called back. She called yesterday, told us about her, just a horrible story that she and her husband had to endure at the hands of these crazy moonbats at this bakery, at this cafe, I guess, up in New Hampshire. A bagel shop where they wanted to order some bagels and they were politically discriminated against. They were denied service. So speaking of a double standard of justice, speaking about a two-tiered system in the United States, you can discriminate against certain Americans. You can't discriminate against other Americans. So Diane, for the audience, what was the name and the address of the bagel shop that you and your husband attended, that you guys went to?
The name is Cracked Skulls. C-R-A-C-K, Skulls, Coffee, and Books.
Okay, good. I didn't want to give out the name because I had a lot of people emailing me, and I didn't want to say anything, but now that you've confirmed it, it's Cracked Skulls Books and Cafe.
Coffee and Books.
Yeah, Coffee and Books. And it's located on 86 Main Street, New Market in New Hampshire, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Diane, you and your husband walked in. Please tell everyone how you were mistreated.
Well, he was wearing his Trump hat, and they asked him to remove it. And my husband said, no, I'm not going to take the hat off. So then they said, well, we can't serve you. And my husband even went as far as saying, maybe you want to call the police because we're not taking the hat off. And because it didn't get to that point, we just decided to leave.
That to me is just unbelievable. So unless your husband took off his Trump hat, they refused to serve you and allow you to buy some bagels.
Correct.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Diane, where'd you guys go then? Did you guys go to another bagel shop?
Right next to this establishment is another bagel shop, yes.
And did your husband go in with the Trump hat?
Yes.
And they served him and they served you?
Correct.
Okay, good. Excellent. I'm urging everybody, please. It's okay. No. They want, they've shown us who they are. I don't want to give them any money. I'm happy that Diane has exposed them. I'm sorry you got mistreated, Diane. Don't get me wrong. I think what happened to you and your husband was despicable. It turns my stomach. But in a way, I don't want to make these people get rich. I don't want to put money in their pocket. So the cafe or the bagel shop is the Cracked Skulls Coffee and Books. It's on 86 Main Street, New Market in New Hampshire. Please avoid them like the plague. If this is how they want to treat Trump supporters, conservatives, MAGA Republicans, we're not welcome there. That's okay. Don't give them our money. Don't give them our money. Diane, do you feel that it's okay now in America to discriminate against conservatives or Trump supporters simply based, like your husband and you, on your political views?
I can't tell you how often I try to talk to everyone about this everywhere I go. I think that's why my husband wears the hat. And I really am trying to explain what's going on And a lot of people tell me they don't listen to it because it's so depressing.
Diane, I'm happy that you called back. I'm happy we now know the name of this bagel shop. And I hope everybody in Kuhner country, and please tell your friends, tell your family members, these people are haters who discriminate based on your political affiliation. They discriminate against people simply for the way that they vote. Diane, God bless you, and please don't be a stranger. Call again. Very, very quickly, St. Anthony's Bakery. It's about 10 minutes away, 231 Water Street in Exeter, New Hampshire. St. Anthony's Bakery, great place, great service. It's run by really good conservatives. And if you're a Trump supporter, in fact, any supporter, it doesn't matter. They believe in the First Amendment and the Constitution. You're welcome at St. Anthony's. So if you're looking for a great alternative, St. Anthony's Bakery in Exeter, New Hampshire. 617-266-6868. It's time we supported our own. Dan in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I think Dana Bash needs to contact Liz Warren, who said the system is rigged, one for the rich, one for the rest of us. And don't forget Paul Manafort. I think he had tax evasion charges. They wanted to give him 25 years, and he actually got 47 months. I think Trump had to pardon him. But my main point of my call is about 10 to 12 years ago, I was on a jury. You
know what, Dan, do me a favor. I want you to say your whole story. I don't want to rush you. Back with Dan next. Okay, let's go right back to Dan in Plymouth. So Dan was making the obvious, Elizabeth Warren said the system is rigged for the wealthy. That apparently now that's out the window. It's just incredible. Paul Manafort, when they got him on tax evasion, was up to almost 20 years in prison. He ended up serving, or they wanted him to serve, for almost 47, 48 months, 4 years, until Trump pardoned him. But he wasn't Hunter Biden. You see, that's the problem. Dan was a juror. This was a trial about 10, 12 years ago, Dan? Please pick up where you left off.
So the defendant was charged with possession of a firearm, illegal firearm, and this was a state case they were after him on. And the reason, what they used was, the charge was he was at a party. He fell asleep on a couch. The place was raided. There was a bunch of people there. The police found a gun under the cushion of the couch that he was sleeping on. And they kept hitting. That's possession. And he said he didn't put it. He didn't know the gun was there. He just passed out, whatever. So just so you know, we went to set on the jury, and the first person said guilty, and I immediately said not guilty for my reasons. And thank God we had women on that jury that backed me up, because he was facing at least 1.5 to 3 years, according to what I recall the judge who spoke to us after the verdict that we found him not guilty on. And I think this Patriot player, he better, that lawyer of his, if he doesn't get a new one, they better find some Trump voters on that jury that might set him free, because we know how Hunter Biden skated justice on this, and that's that Patriots player's only hope.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree. Dan, I just want to go back to your first point, just because, again, this is like, I feel like I'm, it's like the call with Dave and he's Boston. Again, game, set, and match. So, here it is. So you're on a jury. It was a gun possession charge. I get it. It was underneath the couch. So whatever, the couch cushion, the cushion seat. He said he knew nothing about it. He just passed out, fell asleep, whatever. The point is, simple illegal gun possession. This poor guy was looking at 18 months to 3 years in jail. Hard time. Correct, Dan?
The judge on the case said she was mandatory. I guess it was back then. It was mandatory sentences. She had no leeway, and she said if we had come back with a guilty verdict, he would had to have gone to jail. And there was a little bit more to it. He was at the party. Someone had brought the gun, and he took a picture of it on his cell phone. He sent it to someone, so the state was using that as evidence that it was his gun. And he actually took the stand, and he went toe to toe with the DA or whoever was on the state side. And he said, "Hey, I thought it looked like an old revolver or something out of Dirty Harry or something." And he said, "I thought it was an old gun. It was funny looking. I sent it to someone, but that wasn't my gun." So I just thought he was being jammed by someone at the party, or someone wasn't on enough to it, and they were just trying to get him on it. And
Good for you.
yeah, but I hope that Patriot player. There was a previous caller that all these gun possessions, illegal gun possessions, those cases need to be washed out, and anyone just charged with that needs to be released. How you fight this is jurors need to know what Hunter Biden got away with, and anyone charged on an illegal gun possession, that should be not guilty.
Bingo. I'm with you, Dan. I'm with you all the way. Dan, I know maybe jury duty's not fun, but if Jack Jones needs a juror, a good jury, you'd make another great juror. He needs people like you on his jury. Thank you very much for that call, Dan. And I agree with Dan. I hope he has a few Trump supporters, because they're the only ones that'll see right through this. 617-266-6868 is the number. John in Framingham. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
You are the person changing the world. You don't even know it. I love your show.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jeff. What I don't want to do is sound like that bring your A game guy on the soundbite that you play now and then. What I want to do is sound really worldly and coherent, because I was born in 1961, and a lot of people consider me to be very worldly. I've been around the world giving seminars, mostly on computers, computer graphics. I've done that since I was like 30 in 92, but it's now 23, and I'm on the air with what I consider one of the world-changing people.
Oh, thank you, John. John, you're obviously a highly educated, very intelligent man. What do you make of Hunter Biden, the plea deal, and do we now live in a banana republic? Do we now have a two-tier justice system? Is it now so obvious and evident?
Interrupted you. Is it so evident was your key point you wanted to hear my thought on? Is it evident?
Yeah, what do you make of it?
Well, it's evident as far as there's evidence. What they're doing with the evidence, like you said, is nothing. The whole capiche comprende, they don't capiche and comprende the charter of what the FBI is supposed to be doing. And like I told the call screener, I wanted to know if you knew about the book about the old boys, the American elite and the CIA, the history, the origin. I'm about to read that book in my 5th retirement here. It's a large hardcover book. I had a feeling you, of all people, might know about the book, published copyright 1992, written by Burton Hirsch. It's a big hardcover, and it's hopefully a great read. But, when I grew up, can I be open and honest and speak freely, please?
Yes, go ahead, John.
Okay, thank you for that privilege, again, of speaking with you. I tried 5 times to get through early. I got busy. Signals, 6th time came through. I may want to apologize to the call screener, but I consider this a privilege, and I will be very short from this point on.
Oh, John? John, hello? Did we lose John? Okay. John, I think your point was, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but growing up, you had a lot of esteem for the FBI and the CIA, and, well, yeah, because it was a different FBI and it was a different CIA. I'm not saying there weren't abuses. I'm not saying there weren't, mistakes made or serious mistakes made, but this is a different level. They've gone rogue. This is like the Stasi. That's what they've now. I'm telling you, this is now, we're witnessing the birth of the American Stasi or the Gestapo or the KGB right in front of our eyes. And they're not just protecting the criminal ruling class, the vile, corrupt swamp, the establishment. They're coming after us. They're coming after moms who protest critical race theory or complain in front of school boards. They're branded now as domestic terrorists. They're going after conservatives. They're going after Christians. They're infiltrating Catholic churches. They're spying on people within churches. There's no end to this. They're jailing people, January 6ers. Look, to me, a rough rule of thumb, and many lawyers say this, where's the harm? In other words, if you're going to, put someone behind bars, well, what's the harm? Their crime. What did they do? What's the harm? Who did they harm? Who was hurt by any of this? Look at that poor woman. She's now almost 70 years old. She's got cancer. She was invited into the Capitol on January 6th, hung around for a couple minutes. Some of them took a selfie with the Capitol police officers. The Capitol police, yeah, come on in. Yeah, come on in. This woman, who did she hurt? She took a couple of pictures, took a selfie with the Capitol Hill police officer, left after 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. She's now dying of cancer. And they want to put her behind bars for 10 freaking years. And there's many January 6ers now languishing in prison. Who did they hurt? I'm not saying those that vandalized or destroyed property or, yeah, of course, you're engaging in a riot. That's wrong. Of course, you should throw the book at these people. But I'm talking about those that just walked in, invited in, looked around, took a picture, left. Okay, it's trespassing. Okay. You're going to put them behind bars for what? How many years? And brand them as domestic terrorists? But here you have Hunter Biden committing crime after crime after crime. The government is defrauded. Classified documents sold to foreign powers. A gun could have killed kids in a school. And no jail, no fine, nothing. 617-266-6868 is the number. B in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, B, and welcome.
All right, Jeff. How you doing this morning?
Good. How are you, B? I mean, I wish I could
Very
be Hunter
good.
Biden. I'd love to have get a jail out of free card. But, I'm not him. But it's still pretty good, B.
Yeah, wouldn't we all like to be the Bidens? Well, no, not really. I couldn't live with myself. But my thing was, I just had a quick comment. The girl who called about the bakery that was discriminated against, that's clear-cut discrimination. And I believe in Oregon, a gay couple was refused service by a bakery, and the bakery was fined $135,000 and shut down. They're still fighting it. They're going to go all the way to the Supreme Court to fight it for their religious beliefs. And I agree with them. Don't get me wrong. But doesn't she have the right to sue them for discrimination based on, because isn't it supposed to be based
yes. No, B, you're right. In theory, yes. The problem is, it's the Crack Skulls Books and Cafe. That's the one that discriminates against conservatives, Trump supporters, MAGA Republicans. Just so because people are texting saying, could you give me the name again? It's Crack Skulls Books and Cafe, 86 Main Street, Newmarket, New Hampshire. The problem is that gays and lesbians are considered a quote unquote protected class. Blacks are considered a protected class. Minorities are considered, Latinos, etc., a protected class. But conservatives, especially if they happen to be white, are not considered a quote-unquote protected class. So we can be discriminated against with impunity. And so what many conservatives are now arguing, and I agree with them, is that we should add one more thing to the Civil Rights Act, which is you cannot discriminate based on your political views or your political affiliation. Because what's clearly happening, B, is white people are being systematically discriminated against. Christians are being discriminated against. And now conservatives and Trump supporters, there's no question. I mean, we're getting to the point now they're refusing service. I mean, again, the Democrats are reverting to their old Jim Crow ways. This is what now, then it was against blacks. Now it's against conservatives or Trump supporters. But that's how they roll. So, B, I think we have to either demand equal treatment under the law, or else we're going to continue to be marginalized, persecuted, harassed, and targeted.
Not the lawsuit anyway. And how old was this guy? Because it's a hate crime to discriminate against elderly. Is he older?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Go on that angle.
On that angle, I think you're right. They probably have a lawsuit. No, you're right. Look, to me, I'm getting so many emails now. People are texting in, writing reviews. Go to their website, write a review. Let people know. Hey, don't do anything violent, please. Nothing like that. Just don't buy their bagels because they don't want our money. That's fine. And go on their website and say, you know what? They discriminate. Don't give them your money. And I've been trying to urge this be for people in Kuhner country. Let's go to businesses and who share our values, where we're going to be treated with dignity and respect. Why don't we start taking care of our own? Businesses are struggling as is. Let's put some money in our people's pocket. Let's start protecting and defending one another. We talk about the Democrats all the time, but they're thick as thieves. We're always fighting with one another. Let's start acting like we're one team, and let's start protecting each other. So I'm urging everybody, support any business. Look, anyone that advertises on Kuhner country, I'm serious. You need a dentist, you need windows, you need whatever, financial consultation, whatever it is. Support conservative businesses who share our interests, our values, our beliefs. Let's start protecting and having each other's back.
Amen. I couldn't have said it better.
B, thank you so much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you. If you were guilty or did anything that Hunter Biden, we know for a fact, because we have the laptop, we have the videos, we now even have his own admission, and plus his own autobiography. If you or I did what he did, would we be getting off with a slap on the wrist? Or would they be sending you and me to prison for years and years and years? 617-266-6868. Fred in Pennsylvania. Thanks for holding, Fred, and welcome.
Hello, Jeff. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you. Yes, I am. Thank you, Fred.
I want you to look on the town and the address of that bagel place, and you'll see neither you or I or 90% of your listeners would not even walk in. It's a beautiful town, but there's a big sign in the window. It says Black Lives Matter.
Oh, well, there you go.
And you and I and most of your listeners would not even begin to even look in there.
Tell him your wife's from Greenfield.
So there you go. Well, you're right. I mean, Fred, you're completely right. I see a Black Lives Matter sticker. I just keep on moving. But you know what, Fred? This ties in, I think, really well with the point of this show. Fred, look at Black Lives Matter. Okay, objectively. Let's just look objectively. How many cities did they burn? Billions and billions of dollars in property damage. Rioting, looting, plundering, burning, Seattle, Portland, Chicago, downtown Boston, New York, over 450 cops injured, maimed, some of them blinded, 13 that we know, cops murdered by BLM, 36 innocent civilians. murdered, killed by Black Lives Matter protesters, rioters. One of them, a 4-year-old girl, shot right in the head. Nothing, Fred. Nothing. Nothing. People still put up their stickers, their signs. They're welcomed at the White House. No one's been prosecuted. No one's gone to jail. Nothing. But those poor January 6ers, many of them invited in. Literally, you can see them come on in, the door open, come on in, come on. Taking selfies with these Capitol Hill police officers. Many of them, they're there 5, 7, 10 minutes looking around. Yeah, nice, beautiful, taking a few pictures. Then they leave. They're rotting in jail 2 years, 2.5 years, no trial. Or if they're sentenced, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years in jail. Fred, you look at BLM, you look at Antifa. You want your double standard of justice? It's right there in our face. Am I wrong, Fred?
No, you're absolutely right. And I want to ask you, how come we don't call these Democrats what they really are, communists?
Oh,
I don't really hear anybody.
No,
Why
you're
don't we
right.
call them what they are?
You are completely right. We should call them, communists or Democrat communists. Because they still go by the Democrat Party label. So, okay, fine. Communist Democrats, Democrat communists, communists, Marxists. That's what they are. There's no question. And they're turning our country into a communist country. You look at anybody who's lived under a communist regime, if you've studied communist societies, the politicians, the criminal politicians, they get away with murder. They get away with everything. Their children are untouchable. The regime is untouchable. And there is no justice. So the police, law enforcement, the bureaus of justice all serve, like the Stasi, like the KGB, like the Gestapo, they serve the party. It's communism, and they're implementing a communist revolution. Fred, great call. 617-266-6868. Harry in Chelmsford. Thanks for holding, Harry, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing, Jeff? Good to
I'm
talk
good.
to
How are
again.
you?
I'm well. Couple of things I want to say. Now, what about this couple up there in Cracked Skulls Bakery Shop being discriminated against? Freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Isn't that something they'd be protected under?
Oh, there's no question.
Okay.
Look, there's no question. All I'm just saying is this. If you want an ironclad case, Harry, if you want open and shut discrimination, I hate to say this, but we now have to say we need protected class status. That's what it's come down to. Conservatives, we need our Martin Luther King Jr. I'm not kidding. We need to say, no, you're not going to deny us service. You're not going to send us to jail just because you don't like our political views. We're not going to be spied on by the FBI. You're not going to torch our businesses or burn our property down. And no, if we go to a bagel shop or a restaurant or whatever, because I'm hearing stories like this all the time. You can't just deny us service because you don't like our politics. That's disgusting. So we're going to need a civil rights movement for us.
I want to make a comment. In my long past life, long time ago, I was involved with some people, and we did a lot of drinking and all that, as you do. Some people do growing up. They get a little out of hand. And I know a lot of guys that found their way to getting straight again. And I'm going to say this as far as what you're saying about what he was doing every 15 minutes, you said? Smoking his crack?
That's what he claimed in his autobiography. That's what he said. Every 15 minutes he smoked crack.
He claimed
Every 15 minutes.
Now he got sober, or is he sober? Because let me tell you something. From all the guys I talked to and getting their lives straight again, without an act of God in their life, they could not do it, getting off that crap. And I'm going to tell you something. I know like 4 of them personally. And if they just doing this on their own steam, they'd still be lying out of the corner of their mouth and sneaking around behind everybody's back doing that crap. Because that's how it is. It's like trying to get off freaking heroin.
Oh, Harry, you're completely right. No, do I think he's clean and sober? No. I think he's lying. I think there's no question. I think that's why he constantly needs money. He has put so much cocaine up his nose. And really, I'm being serious. You look at the prostitutes that he's hired, how many of them? These are $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 prostitutes for a night or for a weekend. That kind of money, the way he burned through money, the way he burns through money, it's obscene. So I don't even believe the story that they're saying, oh, he's a recovering drug addict. No, he's not recovering. He's not. So they're playing us for fools, Harry. Harry, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Okay, joining us now, as she always does at this time. You know her, you love her. Dr. Grace, putting liberals in their place. Grace Vuoto, former nationally syndicated talk show host, political analyst, political commentator. I have to say this, or they will come after me. I'm not Hunter Biden. I'm not kidding. I swear, if I don't say this, I'm finished. My wife, my better half. Dr. Grace, how are you?
I am well, Jeff. However, you're using the wrong tone for Hunter Biden. Aw, don't you feel sorry for him? The president and the first lady have come out with a statement. They continue to support him in his drug recovery, Jeff. Because when he commits crime, it's because he's a drug addict. And we should all just feel sorry for them, the whole family. Because when he drops a gun near a school, he's in a drug-induced stupor. And we should just go, oh, we feel so bad for him and the whole family. But then suddenly, when he does his taxes, and he has to divide money between 9 family members and do a lot of complicated math, 10% for this, 50% for this guy, 35% for this guy, 25% for this guy, in multiple shell companies, all of a sudden, the drug stupor vanishes, and he's got clarity of the mind, and he can do brilliant math. But you got the wrong tone there, Jeff. Why are you not feeling sorry for Hunter and the Bidens today? You're such a callous. You're a callous talk show host. You're so callous.
Grace, I got to ask you, because you took the words almost right out of my mouth. As usual, you read my mind. The White House and the Biden family, especially Dementia Joe and Jill, are portraying Hunter as this victim. He should never have been investigated. He's just the guy who's recovering from his battle with crack and cocaine and his addiction issues. And he's just a good guy who made a few bad decisions. Do you think the American people are going to buy this? Or do you think they can blatantly see this is a degenerate family, a degenerate son, a criminal son who is getting away with things you, me, our children, I hope this never happens, or anyone else's children could never get away with?
Jeff, their behavior is just sickening from start to bottom. Merrick Garland is out of the country. It's just so blatant that this is corrupt that he doesn't even want to be anywhere near this. No, I think it's obvious. There's a 2-tiered system of justice. The country is degenerating into a banana republic. That's what a banana republic and a third world country looks like and starts to feel like. And there's hypocrisy all around. It's not just the Bidens and the Democrats. Regular liberals, right? They're always saying that there's white privilege everywhere, Jeff. White privilege. Everything is white privilege. Well, I don't like that phrase. But if ever you're going to use it, now is the time to roll out your white privilege card. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are wealthy, and they're using every privilege at their disposal to cover up the crimes of both of them. And it's very obvious why they can't dig deep into Hunter Biden's crimes. Hunter Biden's crimes lead directly to Joe Biden's crimes. So they all have to put blinders on, because to admit how corrupt Hunter Biden is would take them right into admitting that Joe Biden is too corrupt to be in office now, and certainly too corrupt to be in office again in 2024. So they just can't go there. But look at this. It took 5 years for this investigation to come up with something that could have come up in 1 week. So it was 5 years of stalling. That's all it was. And now the prosecutor says the investigation is ongoing. The only reason he's saying that is he doesn't have to reveal the documents to Kuhner. And in 6 months, Kuhner has done more than they did in 5 years to show us what's really going on behind the scenes. So it's clear that they continue to be involved in a shady, disgusting, foul cover-up.
Grace, what about, you mentioned Comer, and he's doing great work. I mean, I know a lot of people want Republicans to do more, and I'm one of them. I agree. But Comer is just digging up and digging up and digging up more evidence and more trails and more crimes. I mean, it's almost a week. Every week he's coming up with something explosive. But what do you make of the fact that so many other Republicans refuse to say Biden should be impeached or Garland should be impeached, hold his Democrat regime accountable? What are the Republicans so afraid of? And why aren't they denouncing this naked corruption that we're now witnessing, this blatant cover-up, this whitewash right in front of our eyes?
Well, it's twofold. Some of them are involved in corrupt and shady deals themselves, so they don't want to point the finger one way in case the finger is pointed back at them and they're uncovered. But others who are silent, it is because they buy this ridiculous election strategy that the Washington consultants talk to them about, that the public wants to see the Republicans govern, and that's the only way to win back independents and suburban voters, and that's the way to win in 2024. So they're being misguided by the consultants into appeasement. That's all this is. And we need to continue to call them out for that and continue to let them know that that's not the way to win our votes. They're losing our votes. They're losing our hearts and minds. They're losing our respect and support for the Republican Party. I mean, if it weren't for Comer, we would all be long gone out of there. And, you know, when you think about what's going on right now, Donald Trump, who didn't have even a parking ticket before he ran for office, has indictments up his nose in every direction. Like he said, he can't even fly over a blue state without being indicted there. And this guy, Hunter Biden, whose laptop is a diary of almost every crime you can think of, is now given less than a slap on the wrist, Jeff. It is absolutely disgusting. It's completely unacceptable. And that's why now you see Donald Trump's poll numbers just soaring. It's not even about him anymore. It's about what kind of a country are we going to have? What kind of a justice system are we going to have? Is it going to be one where the law is used as a weapon, or is it going to be truly where justice is done fairly and blindly? Right now, we're really on the wrong track, and it's disgusting. It's revolting.
Grace, I've got less than about 90 seconds. I'm not talking about this audience, obviously, or frankly, conservatives or much of middle America when I say this. I'm really talking about Congress and members of Congress. Why is it so many women are taking the lead? No, really. Women, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert today blasted Hunter Biden and this plea deal. So you have Anna Paulina Luna is another one who's going after Adam Schiff. Woman, 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 woman. Why is it the women in Congress and not the men? What's going on?
Well, Jeff, I'm always pleased to see when women stand up, and I've also seen some amazing journalists who have taken the lead on these issues. Maria Bartiromo, Miranda Devine, and the New York Post. I mean, we've seen you're right, some ferocious women come forward, and it's amazing to see that, and I applaud them. But in fairness, Jeff, I'm also seeing some men stand up. Like, that committee is an awesome committee, though, and Comer is leading it. He's a man. And to his credit, McCarthy, to some extent, has supported this. So we are seeing some men come.
I'm up against it, but Grace, it was almost a perfect hit. And Comer, yes, and then you had to throw in McCarthy. Grace. All right, phenomenal hit as always. Thank you so much, and we'll hear from you again next week. Your reaction next. Okay, Grace just wanted me to reiterate to all of you in several text messages that she's not defending Kevin McCarthy. She's just saying to some extent McCarthy's even starting to show a bit of a backbone, and he's starting to push back a little bit. So you just got a little taste of what it's like at our dinner table. When someone mentions Kevin McCarthy, I'm like, nah, you lost me. Nah, I just get up and say, I don't want to hear anymore. You had me until Kevin McCarthy. Great argument. You're on fire until Kevin McCarthy. 617-266-6868. Okay, we've got Shayna Catone on. Shayna, thanks for holding, and as always, welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I had to call in. So much to say. I mean, I'll get right to it. What we're seeing over and over again is, yes, it's a two-tier justice system. It's two societies. You know, Joe Biden stood up there railing against drug users back when he was a congressman, saying jail, 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 right? For people that have an addiction. Well, now his son gets a free pass, okay? Look at Mass and Cass. Look what's going on here. We're seeing double speak from all of these politicians. So they get a free pass when, one of their own violate the norms that they're trying to push. They try and bury stories when it goes against the narrative. Look no further than Mayor Michelle Wu doesn't even condemn the person who shot a police officer 2 weeks ago. Mayor Wu's silent on the 4 kids who were just rescued from a den of squalor and drug abuse and all of this stuff because it goes against the narrative. But regular people, regular middle-class workers are the ones who are always getting screwed. So my question is, how much will the public take? How much hypocrisy and lies and doublespeak will the public take before they actually stand up and do stuff? Like in Europe, there are protests all the time in Europe, but we have people, and I'm not blaming anyone, they go on the internet and they vent there. That's not good enough, Jeff. We need people to stand up, and I know people are afraid because that's what communists do. This is a communist takeover. It's a coup d'etat. It's in the mind. Not a punch has to be, blown. Not a bullet needs to be shot because they are taking over the minds of people. And when there's fear this way, when we fear our elected officials, I mean, Charlie Baker, his son, arrested for alleged sexual assault. Nothing happens to these people. But if your son or daughter had something go wrong, accused of a crime, you'd get caught up with legal fees. They'd end up in jail. You'd be destitute. This is a war on the middle class American. And I'm sick of it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. You know, Shayna, as Thomas Jefferson famously said, and you're really summing up the heart of his argument, when the government fears the people, you have liberty. But when the people fear the government, you have tyranny. And you're right. Most ordinary, law-abiding, tax-paying, decent, middle, working-class people were increasingly now in fear of the government. And as Jefferson rightly warned us, that's the very definition of tyranny. Shayna, as a former police officer, I've got to ask you this. If someone like Hunter Biden illegally purchased a gun, illegally disposed of a gun, in a school zone no less, and didn't pay taxes on $3 million worth of income. I'm not even talking about the crack, the dealing, the prostitution, the bribery, the influence peddling, the corruption, the pay to play, all of the rest. Just on those 2 things he pled guilty to yesterday and got nothing. If I did that, or you did that, or as you put it, ordinary middle working class people did that, would we be behind bars?
You would be completely destitute because the process is the punishment. We're seeing that play out with the mothers who are arrested for protesting in front of Mayor Wu's house peacefully, right? But then you have protesters in the summer of 2020 who literally burned buildings down, lit a cop on fire. A Boston police officer was lit on fire. Someone drove by with a firearm and shot at the Boston police. Catherine Clark's son punched a cop in the face. Nothing happens, but to a ordinary middle-class worker family, you will have nothing, and this is what people need to, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Jeff, the Niemöller poem. First they came for the trade unionists, and I wasn't one. And then they came for, it goes on and on and on. And then it ends with, and then they came for me, and there was no one left to stand up and say anything. We are in this very stage. They're coming after people depending on traits that they don't like, that they want to see gone. And we cannot stand. This country is founded on diversity of thought, Jeff, and it's gotten twisted. We need people to stand up because it's not right when, if you're connected politically or you think the right way, I put air quotes on that, you get a free pass. But if you think wrong, you get screwed.
Caller of the week. Caller of the week. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very, very quickly. Yes, this is a two-tier justice system. Yes, America is degenerating into a banana republic. Yes, this is the mother of all whitewashes. There's no question about any of this. But I want you to listen now to George Washington University law professor. He was on Fox, legal analyst Jonathan Turley. Because there's something even more Machiavellian and diabolical going on behind the scenes. Listen now to Turley saying, don't look at the left hand, look at the right hand. This is not just about having Hunter Biden skate. This is about trying to end the investigation into the entire Biden crime family. Roll cut 8, Mike.
Do you think it is possible that as Hunter Biden's new legal team was looking at the evidence that was coming out of the House Oversight Committee's investigation, led them to tell Hunter Biden you would be best advised to take these pleas now because it could only get worse?
Absolutely. A year ago, I wrote a column that I was seeing evidence of what they call in the construction field a controlled demolition. That is, the way you take down a scandal is to control it, to confine it, to reduce the charges of things like misdemeanors. And I said in that column that it was very likely that the plan was to have a couple of misdemeanors on taxes and a gun charge that would not require much, if any, jail time. That is what happened.
And now here's the key. He's completely right. It's a controlled demolition. In other words, how do we contain and control this? Well, okay, some dinky plea deal. He serves no jail time, no fine, no community service, nothing. But it looks like we did something. And to the low info crowd, the low information voter, they can't go beyond the headlines. They go, oh, look at this. Oh, Hunter pleads guilty. Oh, well, you see, in America, everybody's held accountable. But listen now to Turley. What the U.S. attorney is trying to claim, what the DOJ is trying to claim, and most importantly, what the media and the Biden regime is trying to claim. Well, all of those tens of millions of dollars sloshing around that went to that was funneled through shell companies to Joe and to Hunter and to James and to everyone else, the Biden crime family, there's nothing to see here. Nah, it was all looked at. It was all, quote-unquote, investigated. Listen now to Jonathan Turley. Roll cut 8B, Mike.
We're talking about millions of dollars that the House Oversight Committee is now tracking. They've suggested that there's no evidence that the Department of Justice actually saw some of this evidence. So the question is why? Did the Justice Department seriously investigate the influence peddling scandal? Because even though influence peddling is the favorite form of corruption in Washington, it spins off crimes because you have to conceal it because it is corruption. And it's not clear the Department of Justice vigorously looked into that.
What vigorously? They didn't even look into it. Now, how do we know this? Because Chris Clark himself, Hunter Biden's lawyer, unless he's lying, said the laptop, they didn't even mention the laptop. Well, what are all the crimes on the laptop? No, nothing. Nothing. So, they didn't look at Burisma. They didn't look at pay to play. They didn't look at China. They didn't look at all of this bribery, all of the influence peddling. None of the, no. But it fell under the rubric, under the cover. Oh, it was all investigated. Listen now to Jonathan Turley. You know why he took a plea? Because that heads off more serious allegations and charges. Roll cut 8C, Mike.
So this plea deal does have all the makings of an avoidance of any jail time, but more importantly, it was an evasion of the more serious allegations facing Hunter Biden and the Biden family. So it is historic in the sense that the president's son is going to plead guilty to criminal acts. It is going to be very controversial for critics. I think for many, this is going to look like you ticketed the getaway driver after a bank robbery. Many people view the influence peddling allegations as being a very serious form of corruption with potential crime. And he's going to plead guilty to relatively minor tax and gun charges.
Bingo. He hit the nail right on the head. So, you plead guilty to the dinky little stuff. And then the really important stuff, the bribery, the corruption, the pay to play, the treason, the selling of classified information and documents, all of it, the changing of policy positions, like they did regarding Burisma and Ukraine. Hunter, $5 million for you and $5 million for the big guy. All of that swept under the rug. It's the ultimate cover-up, and they're doing it right underneath our nose. 617-266-6868. Nick in Weymouth. Thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome.
Well, let me bring up, how you doing, Jeff? Let me bring up two of your favorite names. This all occurs because of a malignant dwarf by the name of Merrick Garland. If he wasn't a criminal, this wouldn't happen. And I defy anybody to tell me when the hell is the last time we had an honest attorney general. You'd have to go back to maybe Eisenhower's administration. They've all been criminals. The only reason that we think that this stuff has only happened in a few years with the FBI and the CIA, come on. What's happening in here is we're being duped by technology. The technology of cell phones, instant ratification on Twitter, et cetera, accusations, that did not occur. You were relying on a newspaper, right? They had 3 or 4 days old news in those days, right? And great reporters, if they actually existed. So, no, this has been going on for a long time. What is the accessory to that crime? Kevin McCarthy. There have been no impeachments because of Kevin McCarthy, and I'll tell you why. Next year, 30-something plus senators run for re-election. 26 of them, 21 or 26, are Democrats. The other balance of that are Republicans and 3 independents. Okay, the last thing they want is the optics of an impeachment, only this time with real evidence. not concocted evidence like the two impeachments of Trump, okay? They don't want to be facing re-election with a true opponent who accuses them of covering up as they have. Now, the congressman, every damn one of them runs. 435 of them run next year. Look what we just have. Who cares about the censorship? But still, only the 195 Republicans voted not to censure him. Give me a break. Yes, there's only a few. And as for Jordan, come on, Stacey Plaskett, a bum, born in Brooklyn, who is now the complimentary, I'll give it that title, congressperson of the Virgin Islands. She wasn't born there, okay? But she's moved there, all right? She should have been reprimanded recently, censured, right, by her own party for coming out and saying on MSNBC that Donald Trump should be shot. That's right, S-H-O-T. I've heard no huge apologies, nothing. I saw her sit beside Jordan in a committee back in March or something where she picked up a piece of paper, ran over and threw it on the desk of a Republican congressman that she was arguing with. She's the ranking member on the Weaponization Committee. Yeah, that's going a long way with her being there. I saw Jordan do nothing. I saw McCarthy do nothing. And especially this time around, no one's doing anything about her. She can't vote for anything.
Well, Nick, no, you're right. And look, she threatened to shoot or called for the president to be shot, to be assassinated, to be killed. There's no other way to put it. Nothing. And you're right. The Republicans, the leadership, do nothing Republicans. 617-266-6868. Let me just make an obvious point, and this needs to be said. This U.S. attorney, and he's an absolute joke, David Weiss, if he was seriously investigating Hunter Biden and all of the so-called allegations against him, why didn't you subpoena that FBI bribery document? Better yet, why didn't you subpoena the tapes? I know it's the owner of Burisma who has them, and, you know, he's in Ukraine or wherever he's hiding, but at least try to get the tapes where you've got Hunter and Joey on tape admitting they're taking a bribe in exchange for benefiting Ukraine. He never subpoenaed the document. He never subpoenaed the tapes. That tells you everything you need to know. The fix was in, baby. Sally in Waltham. Thanks for holding, Sally, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, I'd like to make a point. I'd like to roll your show back about a little more than an hour ago when that woman called about her experience along with her husband at that coffee shop in Newmarket, New Hampshire.
Crack Skulls Coffee
yes,
and
Crack
Books.
Skulls Book and yes. So let me. This might be a little lengthy, and I'll try to make it as short as I can. I was in that position in the reverse, where progressives, Black Lives Matter, whoever it was, who showed up at a rally that I held in support of law enforcement 3 years ago, and they did everything that they could, going to Yelp and criticizing my business and giving me bad reviews and calling me a racist because I supported law enforcement. And I had over 100 people at that rally supporting law enforcement. Now, that being said, I had to go to Yelp and fix all that and let them know, but I found out who did it and what I did. She was a Boston public school social worker. I called the superintendent and I did to her what she did to me. So after that woman called this morning, in my experience, I always praise where praise is due, and I always act. When I hear something like that, I react. And I called Crack Skulls to let them know that they are now famous on WRKO. I would hope that every listener this morning, and I'm putting it on my social media, that you take action. You tell people where it's unfair. If you see something unfair, act. So I called them. their mailbox is full. So I went to their social media and I sent them a message. And I said, it's unfortunate that they feel the way they feel. Being in business, I have to tell you, I had every person, every persuasion, every political affiliation. I never, ever, ever told somebody, take off that hat or please leave my establishment because I don't agree with you politically. I can't tell you how many people I had that walked through my door. I didn't agree with them if I knew their persuasion, but I wouldn't deny them a cup of tea or a gift item or whatever. So I would say to your listeners that these people are at 86 Main Street, Cracked Skull, Book and Coffee. Go to their Facebook page, send them a message, and tell them how you feel. That way, maybe the woke will truly be awakened to see that, you know, you can have your opinion. We're all American. And we live in a country that's free to have our own opinion, free to vote for who we want to vote for.
I mean, Sally, you know, you say I never discriminated against anyone based on their political beliefs or persuasions or what hat they wore or T-shirt or sticker or button or, you know, you took the words out of my mouth. That's because you're an American. You're a real, true American. You believe in freedom. You believe in the Bill of Rights. You believe in the Constitution. You believe in the First Amendment. What is frightening is you got many woke leftists now. The woke are anti-American. They hate the Bill of Rights. They hate freedom. They hate the Constitution. And that's our problem. And I mean, it's now the birth of an authoritarian, totalitarian left. And if I can just quickly ask Sally to go back to your earlier point, when you contacted the superintendent about that social worker who was smearing and libeling you on social media, calling you a racist and simply because you supported the police, what did they say? What was the response?
I will tell you, and to preface that, a whole bunch of Black Lives Matter or whoever those paid young people are to show up at these things, and they did. And when I found out and called the superintendent, they apologized for her. But I can tell you, nothing was done. You know, all I wanted was to make it very clear what their employee did to try to hurt my business. In close to 17 years in business, I never, ever asked anyone to leave. I always had good reviews, and I feel very badly for people in the position that I was in to try to...
Oh, I know. You got to clear your name. No, I know. I hear you. Sally, thank you very much for sharing that story. We have to speak up. We have to stand up. We have to start telling them enough is enough. We're taking our country back. Bye-bye.